Dialogue on herdsmen and farmers' crisis in our country. That is why we are having a special edition of this town hall meeting, which is holding here at the auditorium of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on NTA, we are live on FRCN, we are live on Voice of Nigeria, and then we are also streaming live on our social media platforms. So people are watching us as we dialogue here this morning. So I urge you, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we open discussion to settle our differences in this area, may the Almighty God take us there and let us land safely. But without taking too much of your time, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, let us again submit this program this morning to Almighty God for a special outing. And we're going to use the second stanza of our national anthem as our opening prayer. So, if you sit down while we pray or you stand up, please take note, we are now going into prayers, and the prayers will be the second stanza of our national anthem. And you recite after me. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice reign. Once more, I welcome you. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without taking too much of your time, may I now invite the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, who is the chief host of this special edition of a town hall meeting, to please come forward and welcome us. Thereafter, he will go ahead to give his remarks. Honorable Minister of Information, sir.
Hello viewers, good morning. This is a special town hall meeting holding at the auditorium of the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the auspices of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. This special edition is to take a look at the farmers' herders crisis in Nigeria. Being one of the several town hall meeting series organized by the Ministry of Information and Culture, this edition is specially designed to look at the current situation in the country. My name is Anthony Foster. I'll be your guide.
With a view to contributing to the ongoing efforts to find lasting solutions to what has now snowballed into crisis. I will speak more on the special edition of the Town Hall meeting shortly. But first, I want to sincerely thank my colleagues, honorable ministers, for taking time of their very busy schedule to be here. May I also thank all our invited guests, especially our special guests, as well as the gentlemen of the media for honoring our invitation. You are welcome. The format of today's town hall meeting will be slightly different from the ones we have held in the past. We have invited an experienced person to present a paper that will put the crisis in a historical perspective, shed light on the knotty issues involved, and proffer possible solutions. After his presentation, we will head straight to the question and answer phase by passing the usual format of opening statements by honorable ministers who constitute the panelists. By doing this, we will be able to hear more from the stakeholders, while the panelists will be on hand to clarify areas that concern their ministries. Please note that there will be no-go areas at this meeting. I would like to hear from as many stakeholders as possible. Therefore, we urge everyone to have an open mind and to feel free to express their opinions. Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in setting the tone for this town hall meeting, I want to say that the recent spike in the number of clashes between farmers and herdsmen are not unconnected with demographic, environmental, social, and economic dynamics, as well as sheer criminality. It will be too simplistic and indeed a distortion to attribute the clashes to ethnic and religious reasons. And I say this without prejudice to what the meeting will come up with. Let me explain, starting with demography. In 1963, Nigeria's population was 52 million. Today, we are almost 200 million, which is 4 times the old figure. Yet, the land, the water, space has remained the same or has even shrunk, especially if we take into consideration the effect of desertification, to which Nigeria loses 400,000 hectares of land every year. Against this background, the contest for land and other natural resources is bound to be keener and the friction more likely. It is also the case of the Lake Chad, for instance, which has shrunk from its original 25,000 square kilometers to 2,500 kilometers. At its peak, Lake Chad was supporting 35 million lives from about 7 African countries: Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, Niger, South African Republic, and others. Today, most of those people have moved south in search of greener pasture, further making worse the contestation for increasingly scarce natural resources and the resultant frictions. There's also the issue of sheer criminality, such as cattle rustling. For those who might be tempted to view the clashes between farmers and herdsmen from the ethno-religious prism, I will cite 2 instances to debunk such postulation. Zamfara State is probably the epicenter of cattle rustling in Nigeria today. Those who rustle cattle are Muslims. The owners of the cattle they rustle are Muslims. Both groups most likely belong to the same ethnic group. Then there is the case of Kebbi State, where, according to the governor, 70% of those who are in jail are there due to the clashes between farmers and herdsmen. The farmers whose crops are eaten by cows are Muslim Fulanis, and the herders whose cows eat the crops are Muslim Fulanis. Same religion, same ethnicity. Yet clashes still occur to such a level that people land in jail. I've started these 2 examples so that we can be open to interrogation to the real causes of the incessant clashes that have captured national and international attention and turned former neighbors and friends to bitter enemies, so that together we can help to evolve a lasting solution to this crisis. Permit me to put on the record here the various measures that have been taken by the federal government to stop these senseless killings and curtail the criminality that has fueled the clashes, as well as cattle rustling and other acts of insecurity, especially in the worst hit areas. The Nigerian Army has recently flagged off 2 battalion forward operation base, FOB, in Beningwari, with an operation tagged Indon Raini. The Nigerian Air Force has deployed its special forces to the newly established 23 Quick Response Wing in Nguruje in Taraba State. The Nigerian Air Force also has a 1,000-man Special Intervention Force deployed to Makadi to degrade the bandits and criminals in Benue and Nasarawa states. The Nigerian Air Force has unveiled a new base in Kerang, Plateau State, with the aim of reducing its response time to emergencies. The Nigerian Air Force has also deployed drones to flashpoints. So Muhammadu Buhari has also approved the establishment of a new battalion of the Nigerian Army, as well as a new police area command in Beningwari local government area of Kaduna State. The federal government has deployed over 3,000 personnel of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps special forces known as Agro Rangers to protect farms and agricultural investment in the country. Furthermore, the police has deployed additional 5 units of police mobile force, police special force, police area surveillance helicopters, and special police joint intelligence and investigation team to Benue State. In addition, the police has also deployed a surveillance helicopter to Taraba and additional mobile police units to ensure the total restoration of peace to the state and the region. It is also worth stating here that the President himself has visited the affected flashpoints for an on-the-spot assessment and interaction with key stakeholders, while the Vice President just yesterday completed a visit to Benue State. The federal government has also approved 10 billion naira for the rehabilitation of communities affected by these violent attacks. Also, significant arrests have been made in connection with the farmers' herdsmen clashes. They include one Aliyu Tashaku, who was accused of masterminding some of the deadly attacks recorded across Benue State from January 1st. The Nigerian Army has also arrested 5 men at Shedum in the Guma local government area of Benue State with 2 AK-47 rifles and live ammunition. The police have smashed 2 gun running and arms dealing rings in Benue and Taraba states, while the Nigerian Air Force has the Nigerian Army has paraded 3 militia headsmen in Benue, from whom 2 AK-47 rifles, live ammunition, cutlasses, and assorted charms were recovered. Also, the Nigerian Army has arrested 18 herdsmen in the Kwata Sule, Mbaya Yande, and Kambebe areas of Benue for destructive activities. And in the last 2 weeks, the IGP Intelligence Response Team and the police special forces, whose work cut across Benue State, Benue, Nasarawa, and Taraba states commands have arrested 11 suspects and recovered 10 AK-47 rifles and other assorted firearms and ammunition from them. These are just some of the arrests made by the security forces recently. Honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will pause here and cede the podium to our special guest to make his presentation, after which we'll go straight to the Q&A part. May I now call on the Master of Ceremony to please introduce the special guest for this occasion. I thank you for your very kind attention.
We thank the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture for the welcome address and his opening remarks. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to formally introduce to you the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Deaconess Grace Isu Depe, who is here with us. Ma, you are most welcome. Your Excellencies, may I formally now invite the special guest who will do the presentation to please come forward to the podium. Ibrahim Birma, please come forward. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Ibrahim Shehu Birma, the guest speaker for this occasion. He is the Birma of Biu, Chairman, Council of Kingmakers, Biu Emirate Council. He had worked as chairman in the Phosphate Fertilizer and Chemicals Limited Company. He was also at one time at Capital Meat Products Limited. Birma Shehu was also at one time chairman and CEO Atlantic Impex Limited and Captain Group. He has been a consultant. He has been a principal partner in IS Birma and Co. Limited. He has been a senior counsel. He had been a group general manager, Birma Group. He is also been an accounts officer. Alhaji Birma obtained his LLB in the only university in this world and in this country, which I also attended, and I've always said it, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. So anybody from ABU here, please clap for yourselves. Thank you. He is also a political analyst and a politician and a community activist. He had represented his community as a member of the House of Representatives in this country, representing Biu, Shani, Kwara, Kursa, and Rayo local government areas. He is a farmer. He also owns cattle. I would say he's equally a pastoralist. And as I've said earlier, he is a kingmaker. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I now have the singular honor and privilege of introducing to you Ibrahim Shehu Birma, who is the guest speaker, whom I now invite to please come forward and give his presentation. Birma Shehu, you are cordially invited to the podium.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. May I crave the indulgence of this august hall to please subsist on the existing protocol, which has been elaborate and accommodating, except that it was brought to my attention the presence of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association has not been noted. Thank you. Let me start by giving a simple background to a crisis which has become noticeable between Fulani herdsmen and farmers. Number one, the first crisis recorded in recent history between Fulani herdsmen and farmers was in 1948. The second one was in 1951, and which led to migration of some of these Fulani to as far as Sudan. In 1955, there was equally some clashes here and there, and the Nigerian government then invited some key notable persons in April 1956, a delegation led by Alhaji Muhammad Ribado, who was the Minister of Lands, Alhaji Abubakar Akalai of Sokoto Native Administration, Malam Ma'aji Shani, Legal Advisor, Borno Native Authority, and Mr. J.R. Knowles, a senior veterinary officer, who went as far as Sudan to bring back those who migrated. This led to their eventual relocation 2 years later, and also led to an apparently a seeming solution, which developed ranches in FCT, Mokwa, Kachia, and Mambila. These ranches have basic infrastructure with veterinary doctors, personnel attending to the cattle, nurses and midwives attending to the human residents with basic primary education for their children. Subsequently, urbanization, as in cases of other locations, dislocated these Fulani herdsmen from these ranches, and like in Mokwa and other places, dams and power projects also has its own contributions. This is clear in the case of Mambila also, which led to a permanent dislocation. This led the nomadic Fulanis to forcefully design their own grazing corridors and or to acquire temporary sites, which inevitably are farmlands belonging to farmers. It is on record that by 1964, the government has gazetted about 6.4 million hectares of land, which was enacted in 1965 in 144 locations or areas in the Savannah region of northern Nigeria, with about 3 also between the states of Oyo and Ogun states. This was primarily started as a result of pastoral activities led by one Malam Hamisu Kano, working with pastoralists on livestock vaccination. Subsequently, these efforts were either neglected or abandoned or not fully realized, or as in the case of population explosion, led to encroachment from the grazing reserves. The cattle route, brutally or loudly as is being said in local parlance, has also been abandoned and has further succumbed to this issue of urbanization, creating a source of friction as the non-Fulani livestock route overseers were no longer employed to preserve this route. So in their effort to migrate following the season where they could get water and fodder for their animals, they have to create their own corridors. Environmental challenges. Environmental challenges known as climate changes, which has been elaborately captured by Honorable Minister of Information, which with incidences like the drying of the Lake Chad, and in addition to urbanization, encroachment, population explosion of both the human and livestock has added to factors challenging this peaceful cohabitation. The herdsman who over time has become emotionally attached to his cattle, and in the face of the above factors, cannot have guaranteed access to grazing lands and water for his animal, and is allowed to roam and live in the wild, coupled with lack of formal and Islamic education, because they don't have it's not a sedentary life of, they have a place that they stay so that the government could attend to them, led to a lot of process. And he is now assumed that he is the best person to take care of his interest, because seemingly the society, the government, and others have abandoned him to his fate. The abolition of Jangali or cattle tax in the 80s by most governments in northern Nigeria, to my mind also further alienated the government from moral responsibility of providing basic human and cattle vaccines. Then, before the abolition of the Jangali, they are obliged to pay, and the governments, whether at local or state level, also do take care of them. Now it has been, for political and other factors or reasons, abolished. So there is seemingly no connect between the Fulani herdsman and access to vaccines. And this can be seen as clearly from the budgets of state government, whereby what they do give us to Ministry of Animal Health and Livestock, where they still exist, is negligible or too meager to cater for the problems at hand. However, by way of civil authority, in some emirates, like where I come from, the emirs still do appoint ardos, but the emirs also have no serious political authority, either by recognizable by the constitution or otherwise. It's just a persuasive power, whereby the ardo, of course, he cannot also bend it down upon the herders. So that loss of authority has added up to an existing problem. The above and other factors affecting the herdsman has made him vulnerable, and thus he sees himself the only capable person of safeguarding his interests. So much as in today's insecurity-related issues such as kidnapping and cattle wrestling, he is a victim and the oppressed. His livestock has been arrested, his existence is being threatened, and whereby in a community that seemed to have made provision for amicable settlement, inevitably the farmer is going to be compensated, but the compensation does not come from government, but rather from the resources of the Fulani person. And he is now asked to bear maybe a little more than proportionately to his offenses that he has committed. Complaints to immediate authorities and his process and the process of justice for an average Fulani man living in the wild is a bit expensive, as he has no tools or means to pursue that. So he is left to his fate. By virtue of the Land Tenure Law of 1962 and the present Operative Land Use Act, all these lands are vested in the state government. And for a lot of reasons, the state governor is the chief security officer of a state. But you now find that in a lot of instances where the problem has arisen, it is now seen as a responsibility of the federal government, which if it is not diplomatically done, the state will contend that it's the land, he owns the land, or he is the one vested with the authority over land, while the federal government will not see it as an issue of a security issue. So the clash has to be managed peacefully between the two arms of government. In all this, much is expected, but in conflict, the consequences of the clash between the farmers and the herdsmen and a larger sector of citizens seem to blame the federal government. A seemingly small conflict which will have been settled amicably, but because wealth is inevitably involved as livestock, puts a lot of burden on the herdsman, and at the end of it, it is blown out of proportion. You can clearly see this in terms of not really the press, but the social media, which is not in any way regulated. Anybody can post anything, so that becomes a bit difficult. The press are guided by a lot of ethics and editorial board policies. So to some extent, you find that there is a regulated reportage on that, but that is not the case with Facebook and other social media networks. And in most of these situations, like the minister has elaborated, in a situation whereby the Fulani herdsman, who is inevitably a Fulani man and possibly and mostly of Islamic background, if it happens in an opposing ethnic society who are possibly Christians, you now see people or circumstances or factors beyond even comprehension seem to blow it, like it's an ethnic cleansing, religious clashes, and what have you. So here also it is our responsibility to try as much as possible to contain it. Recommendations. A reenactment of the grazer reserves as opposed to cattle ranching. Cattle ranching is a good, noble idea. While the government may have good and sincere intentions, insisting on cattle ranching is clearly far away from what the government can provide because of its scarce resources and the massive nature of this country. And of the fact that the Fulani herdsman, who is the ultimate beneficiary, is not even in a level that he can appreciate that. But give him a grazing reserve with dam and grass. Litter it with education facilities, health services, and others will make more meaning to him than artificial insemination, because to him, until you now bring up another generation of those who will appreciate this, to him, the number of cattle is his source of pride and prestige, rather than the quality of the cattle. By keeping them in grazing reserves and in multiple families or groups, the government can guarantee them a source of water by way of art dams, primary schools, to start guiding the children in a better and productive way. It also becomes easier for the government to provide health and other social facilities. As rudimentary as it could sound, this grazing, if you now say you provide grass, which is expected to yield, do not harvest the grass, rather the animals graze on it, which at a level you realize that they have even uprooted it. So it cannot survive to the next season of the year. So further production has to be infused into the system by whichever means, at least so that they will now know that the grass that are planted are intended to last more than a year, decades possibly. Also, I would want to quote a case in point like in Kano, where for a lot of factors we don't hear of these clashes because they have seemed to have concentrated in one place. But also, there is an indigenous company called L&Z who have now encouraged this type of settlement, whereby they source their milk for their yogurt production. And as part of their corporate social responsibility, any herdsman who provides them with milk is encouraged by additional 20 naira per liter if he can prove that he has enrolled his children in formal education. This is commendable. And I urge, or at least implore, most of our wealthy people who could get themselves involved in the value chain to find a way of exercising this corporate social responsibility in a productive manner, as L&Z does. Another one is also to encourage the farmers to also keep minimal number of livestock, possibly cattle, so that it will now enable them to appreciate, to view, to see the emotional attachment that the Fulani cattleman attaches to the animal can be imbibed, so that in their own interaction now, they will know that the animals have to be fed, because he has no means of complaining. Even if you don't feed it, in the night, if you allow it, it will roam into somebody's farmland to go and encroach, and you will have to bear responsibility. Extensive intelligence service or research has to be carried out to identify miscreants who disguise as herdsmen to create havoc and other antisocial behaviors. Conclusion. Any solution that has to be preferred must consider past attempts like the nomadic education and the psyche of the Fulani herdsmen who felt continuously neglected or disregarded in the planning implementation of programs that directly affect him. Simple gestures as suggested above, the grazing zones with adequate water supply, further veterinary support, primary health care services can at best be described as short or palliative terms, because a society is supposed to endure beyond our lifespan, several generations to come. So in our own way, we should see this fora as a fora that we will now be talking to ourselves, appreciate from other person's point of view, so that by the grace of God we'll overcome this. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
want to thank Ibrahim Shehu Birma, the Birma of Biu, Chairman Council of Kingmakers, for that very good presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, can we once more put our hands together for Alhaji Birma? Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to please recognize the presence of the Chairman Senate Committee on Water Resources in the person of Senator Mohammed Uba Shitu, who is here with us. So you're most welcome. We also welcome the Honorable Minister of State Health, who has equally joined us. Sir, you are most welcome. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have the representative of the Inspector General of Police here. He is DIG Habila Chosak, who is the DIG Operations. Sir, you are most welcome. Air Commodore David Aluku is representing the Chief of Air Staff. Sir, you are most welcome. Then the Controller of Nigerian Immigration Service, who is controlling our borders, Babandede, is equally here with us. Babandede, you are most welcome. AVMEO Anebe is representing the CDS. Sir, you are most welcome. We also have the representative of the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Nuhu Anigbozo. He's also here with us. Sir, you are most welcome. We have in our midst also some distinguished personalities who are representing some eminent Nigerians. We have Bishop Isaac Obose, Christian Association of Nigeria, Kuje. He is here with us. Sir Henry Ogbaja, Can Secretary Kuje, he is also here with us. And Reverend
Father Christopher Bologo is representing His Eminence, John Cardinal Onaika. He's also here with us. We also have Alhaji Kogi Salau de Ardo of Fulani here in Abuja. Ardo, you're most welcome. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we would now be going into the question and answer session after we've had the submission by Alhaji Birma on this issue that we are here to discuss today. And our format for the question and answer is going to be this way. Once the floor is open, you raise up your hands, we would recognize you, you will tell us your name, where you're coming from, or the organization you are representing. Thereafter, you ask your question. But I will appeal to you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that we should be civil in our words. We're not quarreling. We're here to find solutions to our problem. So let us look at it, talk, and see how our leaders can help us out. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Mayeti Allah too are equally represented here. You're most welcome. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the floor will now be open, and I will start from my left-hand side. My eyes might not be able to pick you, but please rise up and show me your hands if you want to be recognized. Well, I can see, no, the man who first raised up his hands is the man behind the other gentleman. You, yes, please. Please, the microphones are right in front of you. You just press the button. It will come up. After you finish making your submission or intervention, you please switch off. So the floor is open. And please be straight to the point so that we give a number of people opportunities
to have an intervention. Go ahead.
Your Excellencies, Assalamu alaikum. My name I'm the National Secretary of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeder Association of Nigeria. Mine is not a question as such, but is an...
Please try to be louder.
Mine is not a question, it's an addition I want to make. But before that, I would like to appreciate the presenter because he has actually and truly represented our position from Mieti Allah Cattle Breeder Association of Nigeria. I must also appreciate the organizers because I have never seen or be part of a high caliber discussion of this nature because all those that matter to be here are here. So we'll open up and say whatever is necessary to be heard by these people. The addition I would like to make, despite the fact that the presenter has represented our position very well, is we are not opposed to ranching. We know because of the demography, as the minister has mentioned, the growing population, we know in 20 years to come, even in the northern part of Nigeria, it might be difficult for the pastoralists to move from one local government to the other. We know this. But then, in the interim, pastoralism, for our pastoralists, is a way of life. This is what they saw their forefathers do, and this is what they are doing, and this is what they love their children to also do. To change it, it has to be a gradual process. In the interim, what we may suggest is we already have about 415 grazing reserves in the country today, grazing areas in the country today. Out of this number, about 144 of them have received Gazette Mail. This number, the total number, covers an area of about 5 million hectares of land. The Gazetted covers an area of about 3 million hectares of land. They are there, most of them are there. We know some are being encroached by farmers, but the level of encroachment is not that serious because we have been to most of these grazing reserves, we have seen them. So all that we are saying, let's begin to identify these grazing reserves. Let's assess them. Let's know the level of encroachment in them. Let's know their current status with the view of developing them to make them attractive to the pastoralists. It is when you get them, capture them in their large numbers, that is when you begin to improve their skills towards accepting the benefits or towards seeing the benefits of ranching. Because the cow to them is not only for economic consideration. The cow to them has a lot of other things. The cow to them is a symbol of prestige, as the presenter has said. The cow to them is a source of employment on a daily basis. The cow to them is a means for social exchange. They sell the cow for everything they do. So we have to get them in their large numbers in order to improve their skills and educate them and show them pilot the ranching that we want them to get into before they even venture into it. Tell them, show them what 50 cows can do to them that 300 cows cannot do to them. We know they have the outdated species. They still have species that can produce only a maximum output of maybe 100, 120 kilograms of meat and a maximum output of maybe not more than 3 to 5 liters of milk against an improved species that we have in the world today that gives an output of maybe about over 30 liters of milk and weighing over 600 kilograms of meat. But you have to put something in place for them to see before they accept. We have talked a lot, sir, on this issue. A lot has been said to the extent that nothing new is going to be said about this power pastoralist crisis that has not been said before. Up till now, to us from Mieti Allah, the effects are just being addressed. Nobody up till now is trying to look at the root causes of the crisis. And the people responsible are the state governors. How I wish the chairman of the Governors Forum or the chairman of the Northern State Governors Forum is here because he's supposed to be here. Because all the grazing reserves we have in the country are located in the northern part of the country, with only 3 in states of Oyo and Ogun. So I feel the state governors have more responsibility than the federal government because this is their primary assignment. They are the custodians of the land, they are the custodians of the grazing reserve, they are the custodians of security, they are the custodians of education in their states, and they are the custodians of so many other things. The federal government's hands are tied, we know. But those that are responsible for this purpose don't seem to accept it as their own responsibility. Let them be up and doing. Because, as the presenter has said, go to the state government budget and see today. There is almost nothing for livestock. So, as a solution, sir, apart from those that have been mentioned, we also have to call the attention of the administration to consider compensation of both parties of the crisis, because that will pacify frustration, that will create an atmosphere for a positive dialogue and discussion to bring up the crisis. Apart from the compensation, we also call for the punishment of the culprits. Most of the times when these things happen, the culprits were left to go free. None of them is punished. We have so many cases where a lot of people lost their lives, but up to today, nobody is brought to go. Let's compensate the two parties. Let's begin to punish the culprit. Let's create an atmosphere of dialogue. So this is my contribution. But in addition, I would like to tell you that we have submitted a roadmap towards solving this crisis to the chairman, Northern Governor Forum, Governor Kashim Ibrahim. We are also going to present some few copies to this committee from the perspective of Miyetti Allah. These are the things that we feel, if done, it will bring an end to the crisis. And this information contains the list of the entire grazing results we have in the country, both gazetted and ungazetted. And it also contains the ECOWAS International Transhumance Protocol document is also here. So it contains everything from our own perspective. So I'm going to present it to the Honorable Minister Information. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your intervention. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please let us be brief so that we have a lot of people to participate. Is there anybody on my extreme right? Yes, the man in black.
My name is Bishop Peter Ogumoyiwa. I'm the coordinating chaplain for National Christian Center. I'm here to represent CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria, at from the national headquarters. I want to appreciate the organizers of this program, and I want to believe that the essence of gathering us here is to find a way forward. And I believe if there is no problem, we will not want to prefer solutions. So I think this issue that has brought us together needs to be addressed. And to CAN, we are one of the organizations that advocate for a shift from the past to face the current realities facing us. I want to believe that this pastoral thing, the old way of grazing the cattle were good for the time that it was initiated. Even in the scripture, we have the way cattle were being grazed. And I think this way of doing it, because of the current situation that we are faced with, I think we need to also shift a bit from the old and do it in a new way. If the way, the policy by which, or the manner by which cattle are being grazed is okay without any rancor, there will not be need for us to gather here today and discuss this issue. So, and that is why CAN has come up with ranching. From the submission of the last speaker, we understand that if you introduce a new thing, a new program, it may be difficult to really understand and implement it. And so I would suggest for the purpose and for the base of the submission, presentation, I would think the two should go together. Because if we continue to say, let us create grazing areas, and we are saying these grazing areas things is bringing problem, is bringing clashes, both between farmers and then the herdsmen. I think let the government try this other one alongside with the old one, whereby with time the grazing idea will phase out, because all over the world we cannot do anything in isolation. In Britain, in the West, initially they were grazing, but with time they were able to move out of the old way of doing it, and now today they are developed and they are enjoying all this, the benefit of ranches. So I would say, while we don't completely eradicate grazing, we should also, the government should also make it a policy to also go with the ranching. Don't just discard with the ranching, because the ranching eventually will become what will be obtainable. But I want to understand that it takes time and it takes money to do this. But so what I'm suggesting is that while this grazing thing, because our people are used to it, they can continue with it, but the government should begin to show another direction that ranching will prefer a lasting solution, because that is what is done all over the world. So I am saying we should try that and do it gradually until when all the necessary mechanisms are put in place to make sure that we now put it into full implementation. But for us to say we want to, our people are not enlightened, they are not educated, they cannot go by this ranching thing, and we say because of that, and in this modern day world, we want to continue with grazing, I don't think that can help us as a nation. So that is my suggestion, that ranching thing, government should, since it also will be a little bit expensive, and that is why government should come in and begin to plan it, begin to do something about it, so that, and then begin to educate the herdsmen that, well, we are moving to another phase of life, and eventually everybody will enjoy it if we truly go into it. That's my submission. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, let's try to be brief, and when you make your intervention, talk to the microphone. We have people who are recording you, taking our minutes, your suggestions, so that we're able to hear you very well. I'll still give an opportunity to my extreme right, if there is anybody from there. If none, I'll come back to the middle before. Yeah, the man here with striped cap. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is John Fekus. I represent Organization for Advocacy on Total Rehabilitation of Herdsmen in Nigeria. It's an NGO. My first question goes to particularly the Minister of Defense here, maybe, because yesterday I heard 10 billion naira was being given to the people of Benue State over this crisis. I don't know particularly what the 10 billion is being meant, because as far as we are concerned in our organization, the people don't need money. They need peace in their localities, in their communities. They want to go back to their villages, their remote homes, and behave like common community people, village people, and farm too. They need peace. So what extent, what import is that 10 billion naira going to do to a poor farmer who is out there? I think the money is going to end up in the pockets of some people, not even the farmers. That is the question. But my suggestion is, I have a submission like this. In this violent chain, we in our organization have discovered that there is a chain, a circle of people involved, which is we have the sponsors of this violence, we have the hired fighters in this violence, we have the owners of these cows. And if government is sincere or serious enough, they should not be approaching the problem from the branches or from the leaves. It's just a matter of maybe the leaders of the cow owners just talk to themselves, please stop this violence. Don't spoil our name. It is not good. We are all Nigerians and it will be done. No money will be involved. The religious leaders, the community leaders, they are not ready to tell the owners of the cows the truth, because these cows don't come from heaven. As far as we know, the fighters come across the borders from other sub-Saharan African countries into this place. They don't even understand English, they don't hear Hausa. Yes, we are saying it with authority. They are mercenaries all over the place. We don't know them. We've been living here peacefully for decades, and there was no problem. So for now, we advise the government to touch this problem from the roots. Who are the sponsors of these killings? Who are the owners of these cows roaming the jungle? Who are these hired fighters who have come to spoil our fraternity, our brotherly fraternity we've been enjoying for decades? At this point, I will say a culture or a tradition that was being practiced 50 or 60, 70 years ago, you can't say it should be done now again, because these grazing reserves or grazing routes people are talking about had been obliterated into development structures. They are no more there. Which of the place is the grazing route or the grazing reserve? Those are places that have been cut up with development. So on whose land are you going to take to build this grazing reserve again? Go to smaller countries like Botswana, they have already done it to the climax. They are already there. We can even bend down low and learn from them, because we are a giant, yes, we will learn from them. There's no need being too proud, because the cows are personal properties. You can't sleep in your house and put your legs in another man's house. This is your own private business. You have to take care of it as you're supposed to. Feed your cow ad libitum. Feed your animals. If you want to keep animals, you feed them. That is what we expect. And the ranching should be done. The only thing, maybe government should assist the herdsmen so that they should start ranching their cows. But we think it is a personal business. But government, because of the involvement of government, we want government to assist them to start ranching. Pastoral farms, where grasses should be farmed, it should be available everywhere. What is our colleges, universities of agriculture doing? This job is at their hand. They will do it, and the cows will eat enough, and we get enough milk in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your intervention. I think I would want to go to my immediate left. I can see. Okay, let me give an opportunity for somebody who is far, far behind there. Then I'll come to you. Yes, the man right there behind. Yes, please, you.
Greetings to the
Please, louder.
Greetings to the House and the honorable table out there. My name is Bola Bakari.
Okay,
Until
we finish the.
My submission here is based on the parameters that the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture has laid down for us. He has told us that we should look at what we have on ground within some parameters. He gave us the parameters of demographics, which some of the earlier speakers have
Louder.
Demographics, which some of the other speakers have talked about. That is, the space we have 50 years back is not the space we have as we speak. He now went ahead to say there are instances of criminality in whatever it is that is happening. My own angle of discourse today is simply the idea that we should stop killing ourselves. There are
Yes, sir.
instances where the policies of the government will sit people down and then negotiate between the parties concerned. But when it comes to killing, no normal human being should succumb or subscribe to that. That is why the presence of our military and paramilitary personnel here make it more interesting. In most cases, I have had the opportunity of talking to some of my Fulani friends. Fulanis are friendly people. And like most human beings, if anything wrong is done to you, you seek redress. They seek redress. But I would like to say this. The fact that we've been living together over the years is something that we can still continue until the policy of ranching or grazing comes into the fore. But right now, I would like us to look at, I would like to maybe throw my next angle to the Director of Immigrations. There are instances we know that most of all these people in our shores are foreigners. It is the duty of the immigrations. If we have kids, unfortunately we had a situation on our hands some time ago that was a little bit detrimental. Our kids were looking for jobs and we ended up killing some of them. These are instances where we should have kids that will read sociology, that will read French, that will read Hausa, that will read Yoruba and Igbo. Have those people as our immigration officers and they can connect with people that are working in. I have had an instance where some of these people were arrested and then they are not even Fulanis. Calling a Fulani man that talked to this man and say what he's saying, I don't even understand. Because most of us have been living with ourselves over the ages. But what I want to say in terms of the killing and no killing is we should look for solutions. Most of what is wrong, we all know. The solutions is what we are dodging away from. And I get the solutions for us is to allow our people grace of living together by looking at the source of the killings. I said this 6 years back. I said it 4 years back when we started having the Niger Delta militias that became the Boko Haram, that became Ombatse, this and that, and maybe in Lagos where some people will call Awawa and the rest of them. One factor the minister did not factor in is the element of politics. The Boko Haram started as politics, but they needed a toga to ride on. Everybody was thinking they are Muslims. Until they started killing Christians, they were going to churches, they were going to mosques, they even went as far as attacking our royal fathers. That was when we started knowing that these ones are beyond normal. And then I said it that this will continue because in the case of the Niger Delta, they were cheated by Nigerians. We didn't give them their titles. In the case of Boko Haram, we abandoned them. And that is why they are fighting back. In this case, it has become the norm. Let me tell you one analogy of human relations that is totally wrong and bad. If you kill a man, you are charged for murder. If you kill 10, they will say you are insane. If you kill 10,000, they will call you to a round table. So the thing we're having right now is, like the earlier speaker said, some people are gaining from these killings. I have seen herdsmen before. I am a grandfather. It takes 2 or 3 of them to run a herd of 200. For God's sake, you can't turn around 200 cows in 10 hours. And you will tell me somebody will come in and kill people and run away? It's not possible. The Fulani herdsmen don't kill. They need you, you need them. He loves his cow, you eat his cow. So you are in business together. It is the people, the source of these killings that we should attach importance to. And I am saying it categorically, there are people behind it. The people behind it are doing it for political reasons. Boko Haram started like that. This one started like that. I will give you the instance of somewhere in the east called Nimbo. They said cattle rustlers came there. How will cattle rustlers come in Ilos? 2 Ilots, they got into a village, killed 23 people, and they went out. That brings me to what I said earlier. You cannot turn 100 herds of cow in 3 hours. In 10 hours, you can't turn them around. So somebody sponsored those people to do that. If some of you have forgotten that, let me run you the instance of Don Wane in River State. If he hadn't been caught, this is a man who woke up on January 1st and went and killed his own people and took off. If the media had come up with the fact that, oh, it was Fulani herdsmen doing that, everybody would buy into it. Until Don Wane was caught and he was taken out. So these are some of the instances we have on our hands. And I believe of all the factors here stated by the Honorable Minister, I want the factor of politicians being number one on it. And the number two should be government and policies on how these two parties can sit down and talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your intervention, but please let's put our hands and once more take note of the fact that time is always against us. So try to make your intervention brief. Yes.
First of all, my name is Abdullah Harun Ali, a senior special advisor on agriculture and natural resources to the area council chairman of Kwali. First of all, I want to thank all the organizers of this very good program, which we are always expected. And I prefer to speak in Hausa because of we have so many people who cannot understand English. Because my right hand and left side people, they are asking what the speakers are saying. Please, if I can be permitted to use Hausa, I don't know. Okay.
To kai a turanci bayan haka sai ka repeat in Hausa. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. What I want to say first of all is I want to disagree with one of the second speaker who says grazing reserves are not good but ranching. Honorable Minister of Agriculture Audogbe, if you remember 2016, Severy Institute in collaboration with School of Africa headed by Reverend Phyllis Soto, they came to our first office, demanded for the training of headsmen in terms of management of grazing reserve. I was one of the interpreters on that programs in 2016. We started that program. That training in Kogi State started from 6 to 12 of December 2016. And if you look at those three grazing reserves, namely Bobi in Niger State, Garbagal under Guri local government in Jigawa State, and Laduga in Kachia local government of Kaduna State. Actually, when they, after the training, I follow up and see how those people are really working on that grazing reserve. My advice here is that the federal government should restore all the gazetted grazing reserve in Nigeria because it's very, very important. When I went there, I visited those places so many times. Up to now, I'm thinking it. What happened is that the Kaduna people are really doing well in terms of managing their grazing lands because they have accepted it fully in terms of accepting the Western education. In terms of managing the grazing reserve with their cattle, they are no longer moving. In the case of Jigawa, their problem is farmers' encroachment to the lands. I advise federal government to quickly address the issue of encroaching the grazing reserves. And the same problem with Bobi in Niger State. So that is my advice, please. The federal government should also try to assist Fulanis in building more nomadic schools. Fulani are ready to embrace the Western education, but if you look at it, it's only few state governments, mostly in the west, in the southern part of the country. There is no nomadic schools. And some places where we are going around to meet with the Fulanis, they need to go to school right now because the situation is too bad for them now. Please, I'm urging the federal government to quickly address this issue. Secondly, by saying all the times using headsmen killings, I disagree with that statement. Headsmen are not killers. How can somebody with 20 cows living in the bush going to his cows, and where can he get that money to buy the AK-47? For God's sake. Fulanis are not killers. Fulanis are loving peacemakers people in the country. And if you look at from the outdoor events in our nation sometimes ago, he said Fulani are contributing to the growth of the economy of this country. And it's true. And why is always calling herdsmen? And I believe this is just a politics. Federal government should do something to address this issue of herdsmen. Please, herdsmen are not killers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Everybody is going to be given an opportunity. The gentleman with the red cap. Oh, sorry. Before we go on to you, may I request you to interpret what you said, and please summarize.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Yan uwana Fulani wanda suke wannan wuri da Hausawa wanda ba sa jin harshen Turanci, abinda nake cewa na farko, abinda nake cewa a farko anan akwai wasu grazing reserve, ma'ana makiyaya wanda gwamnati tarayya tun zamanin Sardauna suka kirkiro, wanda sani daga cikin wanda muke tare da su sun san cewa a shekara 2016 akwai wani bature wanda yake Namibia sunan shi Alan Savory ya zo ya haɗu da Mr. Audu ga har wannan program an yi shi a National Assembly cewa akwai wata bature sunanta Reverend Phyllis ta zo Najeriya tana bakin ciki abin da ke faruwa kowane lokaci a ce Fulani an kashe musu shanu, an kashe musu uwa. Sai ta duba cewa ashe akwai gazetted grazing reserve wanda tun zamanin Sardauna aka kirkiro su kuma suna nan har yanzu. Sai dai already federal government gwamnatocin da suka shuɗe har yanzu ba a ɗauki matakin da za a gyara su ba. Amma akwai already guda uku wanda ni kaina na je tare da taimakon Savory Institute da School of Africa wanda Reverend Phyllis Soto ba Amerika ya ce. Ta zo mun je tare, ni ne nake interpreting tsakaninta da Fulani. Federal government sun organize wani program a 2016 mun je Kogi sai da muka yi sati biyu muna wannan program ne akan cewa ya za a koya wa Fulani kiwon zamani. Daga bayan wannan training sun sake tura ni na yi follow up na dai na ga yadda suka dauki abun da muhimmanci. A yanzu haka ta yi musu makarantu. Dam da suka mace an gyara musu wannan dam din, musamman mutanen Kaduna sun dauki wannan abu da muhimmanci. Bayan kiwo na zamanin sun yi karatu, sun sa ƴaƴan karatu. A lokacin na je na ga duk wani abun da ake yi a gari ba Fulatani yake, asibitocin su Fulani ne suke aiki a ciki, kafitocin su Fulani ne, direbobin su Fulani ne, a kowane aiki Fulani ne suke wannan aiki. Shi nake kira ga gwamnatin tarayya ta yi gaggawa duk wani grazing reserve, duk wata makiyaya da aka kirkiro tun zamanin Sardauna a dawo da wa'annan makiyaya shine kadai mafita. Akwai wanda suke opposing ma'ana wanda ba su yarda da cewa wannan makiyaya wai a kirkiro da wani aburancin wannan ni ban san shi a turanci ba wai rancin. Maimakon shi makiyayan nan ya fi rancin inda suke magana amfani, saboda shi za a ɗibi daji ne, babban daji in an ɗebe shi za a sama Fulani wajen kiwo, za a sa musu makaranta, a sa musu wajen koyon sana'a, a sa musu asibitoci da asibitocin dabbobinsu. Saboda kai na sake kira gwamnati tarayya don Allah su rike wannan abun. Na biyu na ake cewa magana da ake cewa Fulani makasa ne, ba Fulatani bai kashe mutum. Dalili mutum ne ke tafiya da shanunsa a daji, ya zai yana ma na gira a daji ina yake samun kuɗi ya sayi bindiga da ake kira AK-47 wanda bindiga na akalla idan ba za ka sai ta a hannun gwamnati za ka sai ta 500,000. Don Allah ina ba Fulatani da bai son A bai son B ba ina zai samu kuɗin da zai sayi mutumin da baya cin 500 a rana ina zai samu 500,000 ya je ya sayi bindiga har zai ce zai kashe mutum. Saboda haka na ce a daina kiran Fulani makasa. Fulani ba makasa bane, mutane ne masu neman zaman lafiya. Tunda mutum zai taso daga Taraba ko daga Adamawa ya je Akwa Ibom ko ya je Enugu, idan ba zaman lafiya ya kai shi ba, ai inda ya faɗa zai mutanen sa da in ka fito ya ishe shi. A takaice abinda na faɗa a harshen Turanci ne. Assalamu alaikum.
To mun gode. To mai jan hula, the man with the red cap, please, or the next person sitting by his side.
My name is Chief Evangelist Emo Gaza. I'm a special advisor to the Chairman of the Council on Agriculture. So this problem that we're talking about Actually, many have thought that it's not Fulani people. These are Chadians. They are not in Nigeria. These are people that are pagans. These people are very poor. You can use them anyhow. Because a farmer is for sale. So that's why people, some politicians are using them. It's called confusion in this country. If this Chadian can be out of this country today, I tell you this thing will be a thing of past. And I believe that the truth
Switch off, excuse me. We have a homing. The last speaker, switch off his mic. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
I say I believe that if Chadians are not in this country, this thing should be a thing of past. And I believe in Nigeria know where the Chadians are. So these are the people that can be here right now. In 5 minutes, you cannot see them. Because they use charms. They are neither Christian, they are neither Muslim. So we need to do something spiritually and otherwise.
So thank you very much.
Well, the next person to him. The next person to him. Go ahead, the next person to him, please.
Honorable Diko Makau, the Supervisory Council of Agric Bari Area Council. I'm equally representing the Chairman Bari Area Council. I want to bring an issue on the grazing reserve we have in Bari Area Council. It is situated in Kau, and the area is 9,000 square meters. Within this 9,000 square meters, there are communities living in these areas. They farm also on this land. The problem now is the Fulanis are claiming ownership of this land because government has given them as grazing reserve. And the farmers are also claiming ownership because they inherited it from their forefathers. So there is this dispute now. The Chairman of the Area Council is doing his best to resolve this issue. And I could remember in the last 3 weeks, the DPO Bari went and held a peace and security meeting in Kau. So the problem is the farmers are saying they have not been compensated. And that is why they cannot move to any place. So I want the government to please intervene so that there will be no problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I will shift
base. I will come to the middle, after which I'll go through. I'll be, going that way. May I have the representative of the Archbishop? No problem, sir.
Abuja. I think the speaker did a good work, but he represented herdsmen only. He didn't represent farmers in Kebbi State. The organizers should have done a better work of also inviting somebody who will look at the history of farmers' herdsmen crisis and then from the perspective of farmers. This morning, as I was leaving for this town hall meeting, I have a colleague living with me who is from Logo Local Government Area Council in Benue State. As I stepped out with my bag to come here, he knew I was coming here. He told me he just got a call from his village, his own village in Logo Local Government, that his people in the village went to farm, not too far away from their house, and they were killed this morning by herdsmen. This is somebody who went to his home last month. He couldn't go to his village because almost everybody has left his village. The farmer who is even suffering this is even innocent. He doesn't know all this big grammar. They just want to settle and do farming that they don't even sell products, just to be able to feed at the end of the day. Just like somebody said here, government says they are budgeting 10 billion naira to rehabilitate people and send them back. That's not what those people are looking for. They want to go back to their small huts and live in peace and farm products that they can simply feed themselves. They're not looking for anything big. When you talk of 10 billion, they don't even know what you're talking about. What those people in IDP camps need is for security to be provided in their villages so they can go back to their villages, these poor farmers. I understand herdsmen too need to feed their cattle. And government, if there is political will, can resolve this matter. It's been going on for many years. If we don't resolve it now, the Honorable Minister of Information spoke of how population in this country has quadrupled. In another 50 years, we will be 300 million. If we don't solve the problem now, what happens in another 50 years or even less? The onus is on us to do it now. Last year, I traveled to California, and I drove between Lemon and Bakersfield. This is a distance of 2 hours. You could see left and right ranches, beautiful, beautiful. Even if government says, or like the herdsmen say, the representative of the Meati Allah spoke well, even if it can't happen at the same time now. Part of the problem in our country is centralizing everything. We can decentralize. The governor of Kano State, Ganduje, I heard him very well and I read in the papers. He said, even if all the Fulani herdsmen in this country come back, he has space for them in Kano. Meaning that in some places, governors are prepared to give them vast land to do grazing, even if they need that before they transit to ranches. But it's not in every state you talk of grazing area. You cannot go to Anambra where somebody is even looking for a small place to build bungalow and live and talk of grazing area. It's not possible. There may not be one solution at this time to everything. Even if you want grazing, like somebody said they're doing it in Kaduna where Governor of Kano has said, come. They can do that, and in areas where they can't do grazing, allow them to do ranching. And you know how the religious angle comes in, just like what this person from Kwali said here. People fear that when you do grazing, they have their fears. And Fulani herdsmen settle. They will now claim that area. They will build their mosque, and they will oppress others who are Christians, who are not Muslims. That's part of the fear. Good enough, the Honorable Minister of Interior here, Honorable Minister of Defense is here. In all of this, our president, everybody heard him, say that, part of this problem is Libyan militiamen. Where do they come in? Where do they come in? Somebody has just mentioned Chadians here. If it is Chadians who are doing this, who is bringing them in? And just the Honorable Minister of Information just mentioned here that the Vice President was in Benue, where he said openly that there is no agenda for what is happening. If there is no agenda, who is bringing in Libyans? Who is bringing in Chadians? Who is giving them the logistics to go about and kill the way they are doing? And in all this, I have not heard any arrest of one Chadian. I have not heard arrest of one Libyan. Is it that they have vanished, or they are hiding to find a comfortable time to strike again? There is a whole lot of confusion. And government is not helping, because the kinds of information flow from different representatives of government creates more confusion. Creates more confusion. If government has the political will, they can do this. The poor people in the villages are just dying innocently without knowing. If they have, like those people in IDP camps, if they have somewhere to go to, they won't be in IDP camps. Yesterday, I saw little children literally begging the vice president in IDP camp that they want to go back to their homes, literally in their own country, begging like slaves that they want to go back to their ancestral homes. It is not fair, and government can act decisively and bring this matter to us. If government wants, they can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I quickly recognize the presence of His Excellency, the governor of Kebbi State, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who is here with us. Sir, you're most welcome. We also would want to quickly recognize the the presence of the president of Nigerian Bar Association, Malam Caleb Dajan. He's also here with us. The National Council of Women Societies are also here with us from the Federal Capital Territory. We equally have Kayode Fagbemi. He is representing the DG of NEMA. Sir, you're most welcome. We have the representative of the Commandant General, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense, Assistant Commandant General Adamu Soji. We also have amongst us Alhaji Abubakar Suleiman, Chairman, GAN Alhaji Fulani Development Association of Nigeria, who is also here with us. So, gentlemen, you are all most welcome. I saw a woman's hand. Please, I recognize you. Can you talk so that we don't just be selfish?
Go ahead, tell us your name. Touch the microphone before you switch it on.
The President, National Council of Women Societies, Federal Capital Territory. We have all heard all that has been said, but we, as Nigerian women, are at the receiving end. Whenever our husbands are being killed, where do we run with our children? Where is the way forward? We have heard all that has been said. Nigeria today, we need peace in this country. And where is the way forward? Today we have National Assembly. Who are the lawmakers in all the crises that have been happening? Is there no way that they can raise a bill to end these killings in our country? Two, in our days, 70s, as it has been said, my father used to have a very good relationship with the Fulanis. In our days, we go to their huts, celebrate with them, and when they are going for their cattle rearing, like during the season of the guinea corn harvest, as we saw in our days, the Fulani man will take excuse when he see a farmer farming his crops, want to harvest his crop. He will notify him in advance that, please, I'm coming with my cattle to eat the remaining chaff. But today it's not what we are facing. We need orientation. Like in the federal capital, we have 9 ethnic groups. A Fulani man in the village, he has his radio. If we can educate through mass orientation agency for federal government to empower them so as to give publicity in all tribes that they can understand to stop this killing. Because lack of education is causing all these kind of things. You have said so much, we don't need much grammar. The grassroots woman there, the grassroots person there needs to be educated in his local language, where he can understand what the federal government is doing now in this era. For instance, me, I happen to be from the federal capital in Karu, where I reside now in Dako village, just after Sunnyvale. Could you believe that the Fulanis, because of lack of education, when they are rearing their cattle, they are now entering the houses? What for? It was not done before in the days of our parents. A Fulani man is known in his cattle rearing, and they have where they will go and settle down. But now, even in the federal capital, they are entering the streets up and down. It's uncalled for where the city of government is. There has to be public enlightenment to educate them through radios, through their local languages, that it is not fair to enter kettles within the city because it's causing a lot of accidents and people are dying unnecessarily. So my contribution here is that let there be public enlightenment, mass orientation agency. Thank God the Minister of Information is here and all arms of government are here. The security aspect, the army cannot do this work alone. We need at the grassroots over there to educate them, to stop this kind of thing. Let's go back, the drawing board, and do what is right. Because when you talk government should do this, government cannot do everything alone. We, the masses, the grassroots people, have to mobilize and educate our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The gentleman in white right in front of me here. Don't worry, everybody is going to be given an opportunity. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I am Mazi. I bring you greetings from the village. In the village, some of the villages actually, as we speak, are under siege. They cannot move. They cannot go to the farm. They cannot move freely. They cannot be occupied with something meaningful to live on. I bring you a message from the village because most of them will not have the privilege I have now to be in this meeting. I bring you greetings from the village because some of them are dying without anybody coming to their rescue. I bring you this message, not only guns and cutlasses are killing them, hunger is killing them because they cannot harvest what they have planted. I bring you this message because we are all Nigeria. The Fulani cattle boy needs to be in school. I have interacted with many of them. They are intelligent. If we take care of them, go to school, they become the vets of tomorrow. They become the ones that will man the ranches and all the rest of them because it is their traditional business. We have to move from the traditional angle and come to the modern time where everything can be better for us. There are modern ways of doing this ranching as the case may be. But the bottom line is this. What brings about killing human beings in place of cattle? We have to interrogate that issue very well. Is one head of cattle what of one human being? Or 10,000 head of cattle what of one? What is our humanity in Nigeria? So if we interrogate this issue, I know the Fulani man will not be the one to go in front and want to kill everybody. There is something people have mentioned here. Who are their sponsors? I am an Igbo man. There is a saying in the land. When, let me interpret it without going to Igbo way. When a father sends a son to go and steal and follows him behind, he will not knock on the door. He will use his leg and push the door because the father is behind him. So if we interpret this and know, all along we've been talking about sponsors and sponsors and sponsors, none has been unveiled. There's something we are going to do to get ourselves together because we are all Nigerians. If we do this I want to mention now, I think it will be easy for us. If there's any alarm raised in any community that strangers have come in such a manner, let the security agencies move in immediately and find out what is going on. But the response time is so short that killings would have taken place, and at the end of the day, not real Nigerians will kill and go away like that. But if there are foreigners that are coming in to mix with Nigerians, there are pathfinders because the foreigners cannot lead themselves. So all I'm saying in essence is that there is hunger in the land, in the rural communities. Last year, because I represent National Youth Association of Nigeria, we are not in one place. Last year, in 2 places in Edo State, February thereabout, people could not go to farm and harvest what belonged to them. At the end of the day, this thing became a problem in the land. Today, as I speak with you, there is 2 places in Enugu State where last year rice farms were eaten up, and the community met the cattle owners. They decided to dialogue peacefully. At the end of the day, they requested for compensation since they are not going to fight. At the end of the day, cattle owners say they are going to pay only 10,000 naira per hectare of rice land destroyed. How can you justify that? Please, what we are saying is that youths who are into the farms now cannot be allowed to carry arms instead of hoe and machete and machinery to farm and fight their neighbors who are their brothers coming around. There should be something to streamline those who are real farmers, other cattle rearers, or those who are politicians who are in the farms want to fight. There are two ways to go about it.
Okay.
Nigerians will stand up and make a decision because we are losing it actually. I don't think this forum we have now will end this way. Because once we finish here, who follows us home to the village to be sure that these things are maintained? But I thank the Honorable Minister and those who put this in together because to Jojo is better than to war. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will take one here, and then thereafter I will go to that place, then we revert to the panelist. Please go ahead. You have the microphone right in front of you.
Fulani Shua Arab. We have Shua Arab in our area, not only Fulani in Nigeria. We have Shua Arab who are also wanderers. They wander, they have no peace land. So Shua Arab, farmers' clashes has been in place long before the independence. And this problem is not taking place in Nigeria alone, and it has been an international crisis. Then why this crisis has been politicized in Nigeria, and more especially during the present regime? There are some criminals who want to tarnish the image of the present government, according to my observation. Two, during the past 68 years of my life, I've been witnessing crisis between Fulani Shua Arab men and farmers, but it has not been so rampant as these days by losing lives and property. Nobody welcomes mass killing, etc., and we cannot do without it. So gradually, solution must be in place, and the security step taken by the present administration is a welcome development. Inshallah, the problem will be minimized. But may I appeal to politicians and troubleshooters to go back to Almighty God, because 99% of Nigerians are believers, and be it Muslim or Christian, who worship one God. So this is my submission to the present Senate. My name is Comrade Abacha Kote, President, Northeast Solidarity Association.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there are some questionnaires